finish up the Thrive versus Survive. I'm so excited, and I know you guys will absolutely love this lesson. And we're ready. So in this week's lesson, we're going to be talking about something a little bit different, and that is still Survive versus Thrive. But we're going to be talking about money versus passion, because both are super important in order to have a successful business that you love, that brings you to life, that makes you feel like you're actually making a difference. But I want you guys to know that you can absolutely have both. Now, what I want you to understand is that not every industry and not every company has a budget for social media or understands the value of it. And that's okay. But what I want you to do is to start getting in this habit of starting to look for money. What that means, you guys, is that there is money in every single industry, and you have to know where it is and avoid the places where it isn't. Now, I want to also make clear that money isn't a bad thing. If it were up to some of us, we would do all of our work for free. We would have all these amazing clients that were nonprofits changing the world. But basically, it's really important for you to recognize that money is something that is just a resource. It allows you to continue to pay your bills, to build your platform, to continue to grow your company, and to ultimately see success. Money isn't necessarily, something you want to always be looking towards, but when you're in survival mode, money seems very, very important. And it's tough because sometimes we have to balance our love for clients or our love for a cause. But I want you to recognize that money isn't a bad thing, and it actually frees you up to be able to do more for every single one of the clients that you have. Now, we're going to just be touching a little bit on the best industries versus the worst industries. Now, how I qualify that is that the best industries are industries that are typically known for having budgets for social media. And it's important to kind of take note on this because I see sometimes a lot of us who feel really lost. We start focusing mostly on, let's say, one type of business, maybe it's a nonprofit or maybe it's a church, and you feel really strongly about helping them. But then, you feel frustrated because you're putting in tons of time and you're not seeing the money that you need from it. Or let's say you find yourself in the same industry over and over and over again, and you feel like you're hitting your head up against a wall because you're frustrated every single time it comes time to talk budget or to talk pricing with these potential clients. They're freaking out. It doesn't feel natural. So what I'm going to teach you guys is a little bit about the best industries, the worst industries, and what words you should look for when you're trying to figure out which clients potentially have a budget. And you guys, trust me, it's going to free you up to be able to do better work for those you are most passionate about. Now, I've had some experience in the best industries, generally speaking, and sometimes just a slight difference in the industry or a slight terminology change can actually make all the difference when you're looking for clients that you're passionate about that also are going to pay you for your services. So let's dive on in. Technology is a great industry. I've worked a lot in the technology space, and I find that there's always a need for social media managers. Funded startups. This is also a really great place to go. The second that they say they have an investor, you might have a couple extra hoops to jump through in the proposal process, but ultimately they're going to have money, and those investors expect that they're spending money on marketing. The beauty industry is a great one. Now, one distinction I want to make is there's a difference between the beauty industry and a single hairstylist. Now, some single hairstylists can bring in a lot of money, but ultimately you're going to find that it's salons where you're going to make the biggest difference. Food and hospitality is another great one. Once again, this is a little bit different than just every restaurant that you see as you're driving down the block, but basically speaking, hotels, bed and breakfasts that are established, and restaurants or food chains, those are all going to be great industries to get into. Products are another really popular one, and you may or may not know this, but Amazon has an entire underground network of multimillionaires who all need help with social media. Editorial and educational, there's a ton of money in this space, especially when it comes to like food and beauty products and all of the different things. Maybe it's technology, maybe they're talking about products, but any editorial or educational website or resource. Nonprofits, Now, a clarification I need to make. I know so many of us have this passion for nonprofits. We want to help them. We want to, make a difference because it's something we align with. Nonprofits do have a budget, whether or not they admit it. And in fact, they're expected to oftentimes spend a portion of that budget on marketing. So if you find yourself, running into a wall of constantly being told there isn't a budget, you're just not looking at the wrong nonprofit. You're just not looking at the right nonprofits, and that's okay. So start looking for bigger nonprofits, ones who maybe are already spending money on advertising. Coaches. Now, this is established coaches. Established coaches are a great industry to work with because they have money, they don't have the time to run Facebook ads, and they know the importance of outsourcing those types of tasks. Launches. Now, if you're looking to get involved with launches, look where all the launch people go. They're all probably taking 90 Day Year by Todd Herman, The Perfect Launch Formula by Jeff Walker, maybe Tribe by Stu McLaren. All of these places are great areas to find people who have launches and actually all of these different products. Women or mom product-based businesses, those are going to be great businesses, especially since they're super open and know that their market is on social media. Courses, anyone who has a high-ticket course or even a mid-ticket price course, maybe it's $500 to $1,000, that's going to be a great industry for you to get into. And you're going to feel like you're really making a difference because you're serving people who need the course that your client is providing. Now, the worst industries to get involved with, and you'll notice that some of it isn't necessarily just the industry, but it's also certain words that kind of trigger that idea that, oh, maybe they don't have a budget. Let's dive on into what that list is. Religion. Now, I just put religion in general. Oftentimes, there are a lot of churches or synagogues or, different types of religious institutions that you want to help. And the reason that this one is so tough is because you will hear time and time again, we have a small budget or we have no budget. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting is that this isn't always true. I remember one time I was approached by a big Christian musical festival and they asked me to run their social media for free. And I just wasn't interested at the time. Well, that same month I heard them advertising on Pandora, which is interesting because I know that the minimum budget that you have to spend on Pandora is $5,000. So sometimes religious organizations can be tough because they mistake what the budget is for. So that one can be really difficult to break into unless, of course, you're working with the highest end religious figures. Heart and soul-centered businesses. These are tricky, you guys, and the reason being it has nothing to do with the fact that they're heart or soul-centered, but instead it has to do with the fact that this industry is often run by people who say, I'm heart and soul-centered, and the reason that they say that is because they're really not bringing in profits or revenue. So they're basically saying, we're heart and soul centered, and they feel good about it even if it's a hobby or they're not breaking into the black every month. They're in the red every single month. So this one can be really, really tough. New coaches are already being pitched so many different offers. And when they're brand new, sometimes they don't have money. It's really, really tough because you just don't want to get caught in that brand new coach zone. Just be careful. Entertainment. This can be everything from music to musicians, celebrities, actors. It's just tough. Now, I will say that there are some people who have gone into this industry and have really succeeded. A couple of people in SMU have done that. But generally speaking, entertainment's tough. They're going to say, we have no budget for it. So I highly recommend staying kind of away from the entertainment industry in general, unless, of course, you know how to get them on the hook and get them to pay for your services. Etsy shops, if it's a small Etsy shop, they're going to be doing a lot of the work themselves, and they can't afford yet to outsource social media or Facebook advertising. Mommy bloggers in general. Now, once again, this is excluding the top mommy bloggers who are doing a great job of monetizing their programs. But most mommy bloggers are, to be honest, struggling. So I highly recommend avoiding this industry as much as you possibly can, unless, of course, you have an in with a really successful mommy blogger. small brick and mortar, whether it's a boutique or a restaurant or some small little shop, generally speaking, small brick and mortar stores, you're going to find that it's called a mom and pop shop for a reason. Is because mom runs the cashier and pop delivers the goods. Now, this is kind of tough because a lot of us feel called to help small businesses. You can still absolutely help small businesses, but just remember, if it's a mom and pop shop, the chances are there's not a big budget for social media. And anytime you see the word struggling associated with a business or with an industry, you can assume that they're probably not the right fit for you. So these are some of the industries I have come across that are the worst for you to find the money that you need in order, you guys, in order to live the passion and to deliver the value you intend to deliver. So this is just kind of something important. It's not a rule, it's a guideline for you, and it's going to be really helpful to save you from spending all your time and effort in an industry that doesn't feel like it's converting. And I'm willing to bet that some of you guys are, listening to this right now and you're like, whoa, I've only been focusing on businesses that are on this list. Well, there you go. I want you to focus on some of the ones on the best list and see if you can't start to get paying clients that actually have a budget. Now, I want you guys to know that there's always a way to find people in the industries or niches that have money to pay you for your time and services. And one of the best ways to do that is to look for where people are already paying for marketing. For example, that musical festival, I could have gone back to them the next month and said, hey, I noticed you were advertising on Pandora. How has the ROI been? And started a conversation about Facebook ads. I just didn't want to go there. But just when you start to open your eyes to who has money for marketing that doesn't realize social media and Facebook ads are a great way to go about it, that's where you're going to start to find success in your industry or across many industries if you want to work with a lot of industries. Just don't get stuck on the emotion of passion. And it's tough because, like I said, we want to help everyone. We always want to be giving back. But just remember that money is a resource. And with money, you're able to do so much more because you're free to help people without stressing about yourself and your own budget. So that is, in conclusion, money versus passion. You can absolutely have both. And in fact, I'd love to see you have both. So I want you to go on into the Facebook group and drop a few comments about this training and let me know what ahas you had. I can't wait to see you in the next training. See you later, SMU crew.